Is it weird reviewing a Christmas movie in August? Yes. Did I know it was a Christmas movie? No. Pure spontaneity, this one. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're reviewing Gremlins by Joe Dante. Before we go any further, if you could pay a little bit of YouTube rent, all you've got to do is hit that little thumbs up button down there. Doesn't cost you anything, just the movement of your finger. And it means a lot to me, so thank you if you do. So Gremlins is a Christmas comedy slash horror about a young boy called Billy, played by Zach Galligan. And Billy's father gets Billy a Christmas present from a strange Chinese artifact shop. And what he ends up buying Billy is a creature known as a mugwai. The rules are very simple when you look after a mugwai. No sunlight, it will kill them. Do not let it touch or come into contact with water. And definitely no food after midnight. As you might have guessed, it doesn't take very long for these rules to go straight out the window. What did I like about Gremlins? I mean, the obvious is the puppetry. It is outstanding. The film work around the Gremlins and the puppetry being used is so clever and inventive. The way that they hide the creatures for a very long time and build up that suspense of when you do finally get to meet them. The small movements, the nose twitches, the way their ears sort of flap and fold to what they hear. It really helps to bring these creatures to life, and it's brilliant to watch. Gizmo is absolutely adorable. The scene where he and Billy are playing on the keyboard right at the very beginning, I thought that was a really nice way to set up what this creature is. What sort of temperament does it have? How does it react to things? Can it communicate at all? It also allows Billy and Gizmo to build a relationship through that process. I thought it was a very clever and effective way to get things going. The effects used when it comes to the cocoons and the evolutionary scenes of the Gremlins when they change into their new phases, again, unbelievably good. It offers a real sense of realism to it. And on that note, I actually really liked the way the Gremlins kept on changing. It was really unpredictable. It kept me on my toes. I really didn't know what was going to happen next. It offers a real wildcard factor to these creatures. By not entirely knowing how the Gremlins work, but just having an idea, it allows a lot of fun wiggle room and creativity as to, well, what can they do? The Gremlins themselves are also really fun. They have a lot of personality to them. And quite cleverly, the personalities seem to be based on fads, trends, movies, pop culture references, which begs the question as to how do these creatures learn? It initially strikes me from their behavior that they're watching humans act and behave, but because they don't have that moral dilemma, they just take it as face value and that's fine to them. Quite literally a case of monkey see, monkey do. But because the film never outright asks that question, it again allows the audience to think, consider, decide for themselves. If the film had just said to me, this is why they do this, I wouldn't have had that thought. Sometimes suggestion is often much more effective than confirmation. Camera work and framing throughout the film is pretty good, very solid. I think the film peaks around the kitchen scene and the build up to the kitchen scene. It very much takes on a turn of a horror movie at that point. The use of smoke, shadows, lighting, the sense of claustrophobia, the tension as it builds and keeps going yet nothing's happened just yet. It's very well done. I can say the same for the inevitable end of the high school teacher. It's a very similar type of scene. The light work of the projector behind him, the way the scene keeps on building slowly to get you into that right moment of tension. It tells me that the director has a very good eye and understanding for horror. It also tells me that you could get away with a lot back in the day. I find it quite hard to believe that this film was originally a PG. Billy's mum should be a character on a Mortal Kombat game because that woman is dropping fatalities left, right and centre. One gremlin gets churned into a friggin' soup. You don't mess with Billy's mum, that's for sure. But all jokes aside, it really is a great scene and, in my opinion, probably the best scene in the film. Now to the parts I didn't like quite so much. The people, the characters, they just don't feel real to me. They're not fleshed out. I don't feel like I understand them. What makes them tick? What do they want from life? What is their ultimate goal besides from trying to sort out the gremlin problem? It often feels like lines just being read off a script rather than actually having some personality behind it. I don't think the acting actually helps. I think pretty much everyone's quite poor in this. Except for Billy's mum, she really does sell that scene that I mentioned earlier. Like, nobody bats an eyelid to these creatures, and I find that just strange. If I came home with Gizmo, the first thing my mum would say is, get that thing to a vet, it could have diseases. Here, every kid in America should have one. Also, as much as I enjoy the ultimate scene of what comes from this character, why do you take Gizmo to your science teacher? First of all, he's busy teaching and growing a fond dislike of children and the educational system. He doesn't have much time for this. Secondly, even if he does have time for this, he's a science teacher. He's not exactly a pro in this field. The father's inventions in this film, I mean, I get it, it's funny, it does at least offer something to the father's character, but it is also the only thing about the father's character, to the point that his inventions start to invade other scenes. I almost felt like I was in a Dr. Seuss book at times with some of the inventions he was using. It was like, what do you even need that for? I don't even know what the purpose that is. I also feel the tone of this movie is just a little bit all over the place. It keeps on jumping from a horror to a comedy to a family adventure movie, and it does get a little bit jarring at times. I'm gonna give Gremlins a 9 out of 10. For a first time watch, I really enjoyed this. It absolutely held my attention. I thought a lot of it was written very cleverly, especially around the gremlins themselves and how they operate. I like the fact that it's a Christmas movie that does take risks as well. That is quite rare. I think it's a very enjoyable movie, and if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It might be the wrong time of year for it, admittedly. Maybe you need to put it on your list for when Christmas comes around and check it out around then. I've also heard that it's really Gremlins 2, The Bad Batch, that's the real talking point of this franchise. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I am going to do a review on that at some point. Thank you for watching this review. Please leave a like and subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment as well. I'd love to know what you thought of the movie Gremlins. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.